talking about Russia's new space mystery weapon. We're going to be talking about China mass-producing drones. For what? Who knows? And, of course, we're going to be talking about everything else. So stick around. We'll be right back with everything else. Remember, nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. What is going on? My name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. This is the extended version of our smaller videos, and we're going to go in depth on everything that is happening, and we're going to back it up. If you're new here, of course, you can go to our website, marfooglenews.com, and you'll see that all of the links to every story that we touch on, every tweet, every video, every document that we show you, we actually give you access to. Not only that, you can actually access it live while the show is going on. So if you want to grab a second device or a tablet, you can actually follow along and read the articles with us. This is the show. It's very easy to find. You just look for this thumbnail on marfooglenews.com, and then you will see that we have all of the show topics there for your ease of use. So you can check my work, and if I say something or I guess misrepresent something, you can always correct us, and we will correct it on the next show. On the right side over here, you can see all of our affiliates if you do want to support us, or even use our Amazon link if you're still using Amazon. Again, if you do this, then you don't pay anything extra and you help the channel at the same time. Otherwise, you can find any of the affiliates we mention here on the show right there. We are truly independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. We don't have a team. Again, it's just myself, Dex, and our mods. So thank you guys for supporting us. We are trying to expand. So thank you so much. Without further ado, let's bring in Dex. Dex is my co-host / internet brother. What is going on, Dex, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, again, on the website, Dex is also programmed down here. There is web-only content. That is content that's kind of too hot for TV, so to speak. You can also check that out as well. We'll touch on that at the very end as well. And then remember, today's show is brought to you by NordVPN. If you would like to save on your Nord Virtual Private Network account, then just use the code Marfoogle. You will end up getting a huge savings and help the channel at the same time. All right, let's get into mind-blowing space junk map shows 200 ticking time booms in orbit around the Earth. A mind-blowing space junk map shows 200 time ticking bombs in orbit around the Earth. The huge pieces of space debris are large rocket bodies which have the potential to break into thousands of pieces. They are shown on Astriograph, a map which shows where each human-made object is located in space. Now, one thing about this is we've talked about the domino effect that could happen if one hits a satellite and then that satellite starts going in orbit into broken pieces and then takes out other satellites. They actually, and by they, the governments of the world actually worry about this because if it does happen, or they say it happens, that could knock out our communications grid as far as satellites knocking out each other. Now they have a lot more fear of that because of Starlink, or at least this is what mainstream has said that scientists are talking about, basically taking out a whole flurry of Starlink satellites. These things are now going to be upwards of 3,000 of them floating around. Eventually, there's going to be a grid around Earth, so lots more chances for something to get screwed up. It says a team of scientists in the U.S. has created the technology to track and predict the behavior of space junk, the BBC reports. It says this is because there is a risk it could crash into functioning satellites which provide GPS, weather warning, and other vital services and stop working. So kind of just a heads up here. We've seen events like this happen as far as, on a smaller scale. I just wonder if one day they everything goes dark and then this is what they chop it up to as far as, or a very specific area. So say the United States or the UK loses all GPS services and loses all cell phone service or all cell, 911 type of stuff. And then they say, well, it's because of space junk. Very well could be the case, but it also could be a very good reason to set up in the public's mind for something as far as, the reason why everything went down. What do you think about space junk, and do you think that that is what we are seeing coming into our atmosphere now? Because if you haven't seen something come into our atmosphere and burn up, then the odds are, in my mind, is that you will soon. There are so many people in my audience that have sent us videos and pictures of stuff coming in. And of course, the general consensus is like, oh, there's just, meteorites or something come in. Most of the time, though, especially these things that, basically burn up into 1,000 little speckles of stuff and make this brilliant light show, they say is space junk, including the one that I saw in 2006. That one, I could believe it was just so gigantic, and it went over on, I believe it was it was either Easter or Thanksgiving morning. That one was just absolutely mind-blowing, but that was back in 2006, 2007. So that was of course, back before a lot of this stuff. Now we have Space Force. Now we have mystery weapons in space. Now we have the DoD coming out and basically saying that there is some sort of conflict brewing up there and that they are weaponizing space. Now, with some of the events that have happened down here on Earth, it is kind of crazy to think about different events like, of course, what happened at Bay and the Root, of all things. That was a weird event, and of course, some theory that that was something that was actually from space and not, some sort of explosion. I'm not saying that, but I would say that there are different events that have happened in the last couple of years, especially the two assault carriers, or the assault amphibious carriers, lighting fire and staying ablaze for 5 days. I don't know why there's not more experts, weighing in on that and saying this is really weird, especially because that's two different countries that are at odds with each other that had amphibious carriers in port light and stay on fire for 5 days, and neither one of them accessed the fuel source. So there was no ignition for it. So how did a steel ship burn for 5 days straight? It just seemed really weird, unless there's something that maybe is top secret and we're not allowed to know yet. I don't know. It says the map funded by the U.S. government is tracking more than 26,000 objects floating around space. They vary in size from a smartphone to the space station, the team said. Around 3,500 of these are working satellites, but everything else is junk. Professor Moriba Jah said, an aerospace engineer at the University of Texas in the U.S., said that there are around 200 of what he called super spreader events. Wait a second. I think something else got put in there. He said that these are large rocket bodies that have been up there for decades that are pretty much ticking time bombs. And I say that on purpose. If I say any words differently, of course, we have kind of a list of words that we substitute. Professor Jah added that in some point they will either explode or something will hit them and they will become many tens of thousands of pieces. And then, of course, those tens of thousands of pieces will float around. Experts have warned that space junk is becoming a growing problem as many satellites and rockets are released into orbit. So one thing, I have seen so much coverage of this, we have covered the same exact story. And what is getting me is that they keep... Dex, don't you agree we've covered the exact same story through almost all of the mainstream media, and they've pumped it out at one time or the other? They keep talking about space junk, knocking out other satellites, knocking out GPS, knocking out, kind of our infrastructure here. Is it because they're just continually worried about it, or are they getting us used to the fact that, hey, by the way, this may happen?
Yeah, I think there's twofold. Think about the speed at which these things are moving, right? And they've got their own orbits and they're doing their own thing. Some may not be moving at all, but others may be moving very fast, right? And when they collide with something else, it's going to be big, okay? So that's one thing. So that whole notion of it spreading, it literally does spread. When one event happens, it will spread into a massive event because then things go everywhere and can hit lots of other things, and it really turns into dominoes. But then the other thing is all of the hype is, we've talked about different projects that are trying to clean it up, different, ways to see what's coming in. I think that there is this notion of learning more about it or getting the public to know more about it, because we're probably going to see more of it in the sky. That would be my guess. Or we're going to see something in the sky that's going to be labeled Space junk.
Well, and then when you go back to the root of all of the things, all of these articles then have, I like at the last one, I looked at the professor that was saying it. It wasn't this Professor Jai. I haven't looked at this one yet, but the last one was both a professor and then an expert, and they were both tied directly to the U.S. government as far as they were either on a board or a committee or they were an advisor to the government. So I just thought that that was interesting because if mainstream media is pushing out something that is directly connected to the government, then I always just look at it and take it and kind of record it in the back of my head as far as that goes. And it just it makes me think that, like, you know, they're trying to let us know that this space junk is a serious issue, but almost all of these articles keep coming out probably every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's like they're, you know, just kind of slowly pushing it into everybody's head. When they do the same exact story over and over and over again over the last 6 months, it's kind of like, okay, so why would they cover the same thing if they know, you know, their competitor or somebody else has already covered it? Maybe because they really, really want more and more and more people to know that we may lose our GPS. Why is the U.S. government testing for no GPS? Why is the U.S. military actually... and by the way, we've talked about the military drills that they've done. They've even shut down GPS areas. They've basically gone dark in certain parts of our countries so they can have jets flying through without GPS help. Basically learning how to fly, learning how to do all of these different exercises on the ground and in the air without GPS, without any of the infrastructure that we kind of take for granted. Why are they drilling for that? But we also now know that the U.S. government this is part of their kind of their, I guess, part of their contingency plan is that they have these separate things getting set up to communicate without GPS, without any kind of satellites. You know, so I think there's something here. I just don't know what it is yet. So if you guys want to help me, the Marfoogle family is the smartest audience in the absolute world, and I know that all of you are basically like investigative journalists all out on your own. So if you want to, just keep digging and try to find out info, that would be great.
Adam, I would add that it is worth for you guys to go look at the map. Right, there's a link in the article, take you right to the map. It's a 3-dimensional map. It's kind of resource intensive. So I don't know if you play it right now, Adam, it wouldn't work real well, I guess, with us streaming. But when you see it visually, it's really impressive how much junk is up there, and as many satellites. You can kind of see them all, but it's a totally different perspective
that
than
they
we see
say
in
is up
other
there.
maps.
Well, and again, this is one thing that I could see down the road. Somebody in independent media end up using it to debunk something else and go, well, I've got the app and I look at it. I've had people use kind of the government-funded websites, which this is, and they say, or like USGS or something like this, and they say, no, that's not this because I've got this app and I study it and I research it, but you don't know, you're not the one programming this stuff in. You're not putting the data into this thing. You're not, you don't know. So again, I guess one thing that I can notice is a difference between people now is people either ask questions or they don't. And the reason I say that is I've had a lot of issues just recently too. Half of my sisters are on this like totally different realm than I am, and it's very hard to get along. I just did a survey of people, and over 70% of people in my audience out of, I think, 6,000 votes. And remember, for something like Family Feud, they take 100 people and ask them, and they get the best percentages of things, right? Well, this is 6,000 people, and out of 6,000 people, 70% of them are either afraid to tell their family something, or friends or family, or they've lost friends, or they've lost somebody close because of their views of the world and what is going on around us. And I think it's because public, mainstream, social media, everything tells you that, you know, you need to fit in this line. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to be canceled. You're not going to be talked to. Look at what happened to, Cara Dune and Gina Carano, her role in that. Now they're starting to kind of roll it back because they said, wow, she was like really badly treated. Even if you completely agreed that her single tweet was off, or the second thing, which was not putting something in her bio, even if you agreed that was just horrible thing to say, deleting her from the industry 100%, even her toys, even pre-recorded episodes with Bear Grylls, that was not going to air. They were literally trying to contact other companies that are totally separate and saying, please, don't air this. We'll pay you. Don't air it. Why? I mean, that's cancel culture. I mean, you cancel everything. In fact, the Cara Dune Star Wars figure went up from like $20 at Target to like $400 instantly because they canceled it. They canceled all toys in the same day. So it's just crazy that this is how we are living right now, and you can't talk to friends and family. So as far as all of this, I would say for you at home, we need to find a common ground and find a way that we can communicate with others. But again, people that ask and people that don't. If you just believe everything you see, then you're going to be, signing up for stuff, going to your appointments, going to a second appointment. I just feel like there's a lot of people that are just not asking the right questions. And even when they do, they Google the answer, and the first page is, of course, hand-fed right into your mouth. I would say, maybe look at the 40th or 50th page of the results, not the stuff that is hand-picked and put there. Just saying. Tiffany Hartman says asteroids. Yes, so you are someone very close to my own heart. I think stuff is coming in, and I think that this is a really good explanation, because who finds an actual asteroid? It's like it's like gold at the end of a rainbow. Who's actually going to go to the end of the rainbow and find the gold, right? Nobody. The statistics of finding an asteroid that hits is astronomical. But if there's a lot more asteroids and they say, oh, it's just space junk, then and put it on a page, say tens of thousands of people see this thing coming in, they go, oh, it's space junk. Once people see that report, they go, oh, okay. And they just file it away. If they don't say anything about it, that's when people keep digging and digging and digging. So I would expect that this year we will see a ton of either space junk coming in or actual asteroid reports of stuff coming in. We know that it has quadrupled in the last 4 years. Dex and I brought you the data that showed that in 4 years, the sightings in every category, so less than 10 people seeing stuff come in, more than 10 people less than 100, more than 100 less than 1,000, and more than 1,000 less than 10,000, and over 10,000. All of those categories have gone up, and they doubled, and now they've quadrupled in 4 years. Now we have a ton of stuff coming in. To think that that's either not related to Space Force or what is going on in the sky when DoD's coming out and saying that the space is now weaponized, or to not think that it's something to do with asteroids, that would be a narrow group you would have to be in. How would you not think it's either? I don't get it. But again, ask the right questions. And then we have our next story here. Kamala Harris will reportedly urge UN leaders to prepare for the next demic. That's a weird headline. It says VP KH will urge global leaders in a virtual speech at the UN on Monday to begin preparing now for the next demic. At the same time that the world works to get through this one, we will also know that we must prepare for the next. Harris will say, according to excerpts of the speech obtained by the Associated Press. So this isn't the Sun. This is the Associated Press saying that this is what she's saying. And by the way, before this last one that happened, which everybody has their own thoughts on, there were many things that pointed to the fact that we were going to have this. We said 4 months before it started that this was going to happen.
And haven't we heard of another Gil Bates who has said the second one's coming? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here we go.
This is a good point. This is an excellent point to sign up for Marfoogle Alerts if you have not already. An article just went out. And let's see here. Yes, sign up for the alerts. So a cow demic, right? Sounds crazy. Go to alerts and get that alert. Dex, is there a way to resend that alert?
Well, if you're already on it, you have it. Find it in your junk mail if you can't find it. If you go sign up, it'll send it to you immediately.
So Dex did some really good research and then connected the dots. We were able to put together this amazing article and put it out. This is, again, original content from us. Make sure to sign up for it. It is very telling of what is going on. He found all of the connections between Gilly and all of the different manufacturers, everything. It's all put out for you. You can check the work there. It is all solid. So make sure to sign up for those alerts. It is potentially something that will affect all of us. All right, and then... So it says that she's basically going to talk about this. Of course, we had people talking about this last one. So what do you think about this? Do you think that there is some sort of, some other thing coming or some mutation? Let me know. First off, Rosie Lowry, thank you, says, thank you, Marf and Dex, for all the info from around the world you share. It says, makes your eyes open even more. Much love to you guys and your family, and peace and grace. Which, by the way, there was a couple people I missed. I'm going to get to. Leslie A., thank you for the super sticker, and very cute. And thank you. Thank you for being here. No worries. And then John J. says, still waiting for the dream show. God speaks to us through dreams, not MSM. And John J., it is coming. I'm sorry that it's taken so long. Again, just one thing after another has happened. Lisa R. Hall is in the house being our mod tonight. Let's see here. We've got LCJC family. Thank you for modding. Make sure to thank the awesome mods there for doing a great job, keeping it a really awesome place to chat. And I thought I saw one more, but that's okay. Whoever the mods are in there, thank you so much for doing your kick-ass work. And then Alex Brawley, Major Ron, Catherine Sajurdskan, thank you so much for being here. Raquel R. We've got Jason Tops. Lord Andrew is here. Hey, it's nice to see you again. And then let's see here. Over on D-Live, Susie P., thank you, says, God in heaven help us all. That's right. PMC 2020 is in the house. Global Impact says only they activate whatever they put in the V. Fairy Spirit 2112, thank you for the diamond. And then, of course, Scooby-Doo right, Recalcitrant, and, of course, Bear Claws, thank you guys for lemons. MRSA 1, we have lots of new followers, some sort of huge group of new followers over on D-Live. Thank you guys for going over there. Declassified Truth just followed. Make sure to check out the replay on that D-Live only show about that agenda that happens in 9 years. Great show that we did the other day. Again, going through the actual documents, going through the actual PDF from the UN. Great stuff. Make sure to check that out.
And if you have a problem getting to it, just go to our website. It's embedded on our webpage, and you can play it right there.
Now, this last part that is actually something that they say might change, it says those initiatives include increasing capacity for PPE, or personal protective equipment, Vs, and test kit manufacturing, improving accessibility to healthcare, and investing in science, health workers, and the well-being of women. And that's great. One thing I've noticed, though, it's like there's somebody pulling things that, why all of a sudden are we seeing this just giant urge towards certain things? It's like the new boss has a chip on their shoulder and they're saying, hey, we're going to change some different things here. I got some things to add to almost every category of what we're going to do here. It's weird. It's like all of a sudden it flipped. Maybe it was a generational thing. Maybe the generation that was running things, the old families. I can see in my head something like the Game of Thrones, where the 22-year-old prince, takes out his dad and then takes over and completely changes everything. It seems like something like that happened. And these families are they're worse than Game of Thrones. They're like, they're 10 times worse. Jimmy Shively, let there be light. Thank you. Thank you guys for supporting over there on D-Live. Weird stuff. And then, of course, Geomagnetic Stormwatch upgraded to warning. We still have to get a show with, of course, some of our awesome Blue Kool-Aid and people like him. Of course, now, and we also have to get a show going with, oh my gosh, I want BP Earthwatch to come back on at some point. He hasn't been around in a long time. But there's several people that I want to come on and talk about this. It says the National Weather Service's Space Weather Prediction Center, or SWPC, has upgraded the geomagnetic storm watch that was in effect for today for a geomagnetic storm warning after detecting the early arrival of a hardy solar wind. The SWPC says minor to moderate geomagnetic storm levels are being observed, which shows the early arrival of an anticipated coronal mass ejection that left the sun on April 22nd. The enhancement in solar wind parameters were first observed by the Discover spacecraft. The transient solar wind feature is expected to cause auroral enhancements that may be visible at night in the higher latitudes under favorable sky conditions. Due to the strength of this disturbance, aurora could be visible as far south as Idaho and New York, and places in between. So another thing is why the last couple of years, I don't know if I guess I never paid attention before I used to do this every day, but Dex, does it seem like the last 3 years we've had literally like 3 years in a row where the auroras are coming down into the United States where it's visible?
Yeah. Every time we get one of these, that's exactly what happens. And we've even had a recent one in the last few months where it missed us by a day, and it was so big that if it hadn't have missed us, or maybe it was a few days,
it would have been catastrophic.
It would have been a really big deal, right? We don't know how big, but it would have been a really big deal compared to some of these. Now this one, there was a lot of words floating around. They call it a solar tsunami. A lot of people online have been talking all up through the weekend, like Sunday is the big day, Monday's the big day, it's going to be a big catastrophe, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think it's necessary, and I'm no expert, so this is just my opinion and what I've read just from this information and some others. I don't know that it's really as big as others have said, but it is significant enough that we're going to see lights, the lights in the upper atmosphere in certain areas, of which we've talked about before. And it would be a potential explanation if we have, some sort of telecommunications that, mess up or do some weird things for a little bit of time. So we'll have to see what happens.
Can we try to get Wages World, if possible, on the show? Do you have his contact info? I don't know if we can try to give him a call and ask him what he's thinking here.
Yeah, I can see if we can find him.
It says that he just streamed 2 hours ago, so he's not streaming live. But again, he follows this every day. He's a good one to call. And then this is why we talk about this. So again, I think that the reason why we talk about this is because it's something that we believe will actually affect you. People give us crap for showing you why you need something like an EMP shield, but that's exactly why you need it. These things are going to become more of a problem. Over the last 3 years, it has become more of a problem. So I see absolutely nothing wrong with, one, the channel benefiting from people that are going to go out there and end up protecting themselves or possibly saving their own life in the case of if you had a generator or a ham radio or an RV that ran when no one else did, that could save your life. So that's why we do stories, and if we do have a connection to one of them, we will put it there. So I hope you guys realize we really think that every person should have some sort of protection against solar flares and against coronal mass ejections, because that, we know a big one is going to hit, one that will be catastrophic, that will knock out electronics all over the place. It's a matter of when, and will we be protected against that by then? The government and the military are both preparing for that. Right now, we have absolute proof of that. We had an executive order under the last president. The last president just didn't sign it because he was willy-nilly and just trying to do stuff. He did it because all of the top advisors said this is one of our biggest threats. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know what is going on behind the scenes, but a lot of people kind of have an idea of what's happening. It almost seems like we're trying to open up doors again for people to come in. But again, that's why we do what we do, and that's why we partner with the people we partner. We actually suggested EMP shields before we ever were their affiliate, because I think that this will help people, and at the same time, it will help our channel. We are trying to expand, and that is something that we have to do. We need to bring on more people. There are people I would have brought on last year if I could. So I hope that you guys check this out. Again, you're not going to pay more. You're going to pay less, and you're going to help the channel out. This is actually a device that can protect you against all three phases of it. It is the same device and the same team, the same company that is now helping DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. So I'd hope people pay attention to this. I think that it will eventually save lives if the entire United States somehow doesn't make it a mandatory thing to correct this. Because our grid is completely I wouldn't say completely unprotected. I would say that government and military buildings are now getting protected against this. But how many people have this? So again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP if you want to support the show. But if you have this, when we do have stories like this, you wouldn't have to worry as much. At least you know your generator is going to run, your car is going to run.
Absolutely, Adam. There's another thing I was thinking about just the other day about a CME in particular. And I think it may be true with an EMP as well. But this whole notion that it's inducting energy in the copper lines, in the power lines, in the power poles, but in all that wire running throughout your house or inside your car, that's the whole point. Is it's like a giant antenna sucking up and creating, or inducting is the technical term, this giant surge of electricity. Well, as we all know, in the Carrington event, a lot of things caught on fire, right?
Telegraphs,
and the question
everything.
I ask, and I would ask a lot of people, and I think about this myself, is like, okay, in my house, sure, everybody argues, oh, well, when the power's out, nobody has power. Well, that's fine. If the power's out, nobody has power. But what happens to all the lines in your house? Do you want them to catch fire? Do you trust that the electrician that put it all in, that everything is so great that it can handle that massive surge of power without sparking off fires in the wall, right? Or would you rather have something that shunts down all that electricity so that it doesn't have that surge? And that's sort of that's the other thing I look at this as, like an insurance policy, is not just, there's one part of it is protect my electronics and protect my equipment. But there's also a part that says protect my sticks and bricks, right?
Exactly. Protect the house and the protection around you. Well, that's why we think it's going to help. I honestly think that. There's certain things that we've turned down companies because we don't think it fits. There's companies that have tried several times and we just don't want to do it because we don't feel it fits. This is something that I do believe in, and I believe in the actual people behind it. Andrew has actually supported the independent community more than anyone I've ever seen. He supports small creators, and not only that, he actually does things to make sure that even the little guy who's not going to bring them business, they went and help. That's why I think that this is something that this actually means a lot to me, that these people are such good, awesome people. There are some people with principles out there, and I would like to say I'm one of them. So yeah, if you want to protect yourself, go with that. And I don't think it's just Nat. I think it's an actual suggestion. I think it's something that I believe in, and I don't feel bad for it. And now we've got the U.S. Air Force wants to beam solar power to Earth from space. We've briefly touched on this before, where they're actually talking about beaming power through waves. And if you can think about that, how would they do that? And is that going to be healthy? If you're worried about the newest generation of stuff, I wonder how this is going to work, right? It says space-based solar power won't be just a sci-fi dream forever if things go according to the U.S. Air Force's plans. Now remember, this isn't just having a solar panel on Earth. This is having a solar panel in space, taking that power and then beaming it down to Earth. Free Life Task says our magnetosphere is weakening. As the current solar cycle increases in intensity, there is an ever-increasing chance of grid-down situation. It will happen, and my educated guess is that it will happen in 2 to 3 years, if not before. Much love. Free Life Task, thank you for the support from Australia. And again, thank you for your critique. Thank you for your opinion there. Shouldn't say critique. That's why I wanted to get Wages World on here, because I know he's following every step of the way. That's his whole thing. I mean, he's spending every single day following it for his channel, just as we follow other things. As far as this goes, beaming this stuff, It says, ensuring that a forward operating base maintains reliable power is one of the most dangerous parts of military ground operations. Convoys and supply lines are a major target for adversaries, states the narrator of the AFRL video about Spider. It says, ground-based solar, while seemingly an attractive solution, is limited by area, the size of collectors required, and climate. But if the solar panels were in orbit, they could have unfettered access to the sun's rays, providing an uninterrupted supply of energy. So what I wonder is, how healthy is this to beam actual power, however they do this new technology? It's absolutely insane. It says the AFRL envisions sunlight harvesting satellites equipped with innovative sandwich tiles, which will convert solar energy into radio frequency. That will convert solar energy into radio frequency power and beam it to Earth. Down here, receiving antennas will transform that RF energy into usable power. So we know, and we've covered this, and people, don't think it's going to happen. Li-Fi, which is light emitted diode Wi-Fi, so internet from any lights that you may see. You'll be in a mall, and the lights above the bathroom, the lights above the bathroom mirror will actually be a Wi-Fi emitting device. Street lights will emit internet. And then, of course, who knows, maybe most of them will be getting their internet from Starlink. Because once you connect the whole world, you can collect data on the entire world, which I believe the elites just said recently that that is their biggest problem, is they don't have enough data collection. In fact, that's part of the 2030 event that they have going, their goals, right? That everybody's signed on to. So getting data around is one thing. So I wonder if anybody is going to fight this, and will it matter? Because people are going to fight it and say, we don't want this, even if it's off somewhere else in the desert.
I don't know. It seems to me they tried to soften this, right? And I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me. But when they talk about radio frequency energy, those are waves. And the waves are based on the hertz, right? And you've got to get into this microwave type area, or this ultra high frequency waves, if you're going to get into that amount of power. And you're then dealing with the kind of microwaves that you don't necessarily want to be in the way of. And I think if they'd have said something like using microwave technology and transferring power, people would probably freak out, right? But they called it radio frequencies.
Exactly. So we're going to see a whole set of different technologies that are going to kick in during our lifetime. And I bet that none of them are good for human beings. That's just my opinion, though. By the way, Wes Stoltz says, sorry for your loss. And then says, pray for me for a kidney transplant. Foogle family. Love all you guys. Wes Stoltz, I'm so sorry that you're going through something like that. That is really, really not fun. Michelle Allport, new viewer for months. Thank you so much. Hannah Records music events. Thank you as well. I really appreciate that. And then I did want to shout out, there was a couple people there. Thank you, Free Life Task again. And while that's loading up, I do want to thank Red Storm over on DLive. Thank you for doing this show, Marf. Well, thank you for watching it. And then Vault 111 is in the house. We've got Look Behind You. Oh, that's your name. Lisa K23, Venus L, D Frustrated, and we've got That Chowky Gal in the house. James Fox, thank you for the super sticker, and literally have a Superman flying there, or a super potato, I think, is what that looks like. Thank you guys for supporting us. We are independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. SpaceX rocket with 4 astronauts on board has near miss with piece of space debris. And apparently it's not going to load. So we're going to go back to this one.
No, it's there. Scroll down. But what's interesting, they actually call it a UFO. Okay. But what the craziest thing is, this just now coming out. Okay. And this happened the other day, or when they took off. But can you imagine the command from Space Command is to the astronauts saying, prepare for impact? That's literally what they had to tell them. Imagine that.
And it didn't end up hitting. So these it says the 4 astronauts on board of the SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft were told that they were possibly on a collision course with an unknown object before docking at the International Space Station, NASA has revealed. The astronauts are pictured in the cockpit of a vessel as it prepares to dock at the International Space Station on Saturday. So they were told that they were going to get hit, and then all of a sudden, last second, it didn't. I wonder if this is an actual picture from that moment, or if this is just like a stock photo that they took from live NASA. Because look, you can even see this like little thing swirling around here. It's like whoop, whoop, whoop. This would be something, a good story for Tyler at Secure Team to cover. Which, by the way, if you guys have not heard, Tyler is actually putting out consistent videos again. I prayed for him a long time for the last year because he's had a lot of issues and he's gone through a really rough road. So if you guys want to go support Tyler from Secure Team 10, he looks like he legitimately has put out videos like old school, and he's rocking hard. He also had a very, very scary health scare, and he had a huge surgery. He showed the scar from it. Just the scar will give you nightmares. So again, he lived through all that, and maybe that's what kicked him back into gear. I don't know. But he's doing a really great job. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, he's got 2 million subscribers, 10 times our size, and he is definitely worth a watch. He's got some really good stuff just recently. The last 2 videos have been really good. Johnson, Marfoogle, and make sure to tell him Marfoogle sent you. Johnson, Marfoogle fam, love and harmonic vibrations to Marf. Thanks. Thank you, Johnson. Thank you for sticking around for so long. Tiptoe around. Seafood gumbo. I don't get that at all. It will probably click to me and I'll be like, oh, that's what it is. And then, so something came close, but who knows what it was.
Did it move out of the way? Like, there's probably all sorts of things they're not going to tell us.
Well, they're aren't they supposed to be going thousands of miles an hour? So if it did move out of the way, then it would have to have some sort of capabilities there. The object being tracked is classified as unknown. That's weird. And then, the recent story. Speaking of Tyler, just put it out. One of the astronauts, supposedly the astronauts, did a time lapse of the Earth and the auroras. Which, funny enough, we're talking about auroras. He was doing a time lapse of the auroras, and actually caught that. Maybe we might be able to play a small clip of that. And then, of course, we've got the big Pentagon internet mystery now partially solved. It says a very strange thing happened on the internet the day that President JB was sworn in. A shadowy company residing at a shared workspace above a Florida bank announced that the world's computer networks that it is now managing a colossal, previously idle chunk of the internet owned by the U.S. Department of Defense. It says that real estate has since more than quadrupled to 175 million addresses, about 1/25 the size of the current internet. It is massive. That is the biggest thing in history of the internet, said Doug Midori, director of internet analysis at Kentic, a network operating company, and it is also more than twice the size of the internet space actually used by the Pentagon. It says, after weeks of wonder by the networking community, the Pentagon has now provided a very terse explanation of what it's doing. But it has not answered many basic questions, beginning with why it chose to entrust management of the address space to a company that seems to not have existed until September. The military hopes to assess, evaluate, prevent unauthorized use of DoD IP address space, said a statement issued Friday by Brett Goldstein, chief of the Pentagon's Defense Digital Service. It says, which is running the project, and it says it also hopes to identify potential vulnerabilities as part of the efforts to defend against cyber intrusions by global adversaries, who are consistently infiltrating U.S. networks, sometimes operating from unused internet address blocks. Now, Dex, you're our tech expert here, and you know all about internet and everything else. So what do you think about this?
Okay, so this story has all sorts of potential, okay? Now, the official word from the Pentagon is a very decent explanation of what they could be doing, but I know that everybody in the tech space is going to look at this. If they have a tinfoil hat on, then they're going to be able to look at this from an angle of there's a lot of different things that could be playing out here. To put it into simple terms, the entire internet of the Pentagon itself uses a whole boatload of IP addresses. And an IP address is what's used on everyone's computer, everyone's phone. Everything connected to the internet has an address, okay? This thing is 2.5 times larger than the entire Pentagon system, okay? And at the last minute, right before the change, it was shifted to a company that had just been made in Florida. Okay, and all of those IPs, which weren't used, but it's a huge block, is now being managed by some unknown LLC in Florida. Okay, so now you just imagine everybody's going to run wild with what does this mean? And of course, the Pentagon came out and said, "Oh, well, we're using it for cyber, blah blah blah." And we were, this is. They didn't say that they gave it to this company, but then you can just.
This company is
going to go between the lines and say the company is a contracting company that's helping them. Blah,
now,
blah, blah.
this company isn't located near Mar-a-Lago, is it? Just kidding.
I don't remember which city it is there, but yeah, it's like it's located above a bank in a building. And when the reporters went there, there was a receptionist that told them to leave and said they had no idea who you're looking for.
That is creepy. So something is obviously, maybe they did that because it was so kind of, so low key. It was so low key because there is some sort of threat and they're trying to account for that or something. Or did they not know that it was that was transferred over to that little building? Was that a hack itself for that stuff to be transferred over? And then when this article came out, the government says, "Holy crap, they just transferred all this." Or do you think that was something that they couldn't have, had happen without them knowing?
Yeah, they would have known. Okay, this is at the root level, basically, of the internet, right? And when you own and control these IPs, it's like a giant block, and the block is made up of blocks and blocks and blocks. So, yeah, they had control of this stuff, and they chose to move it.
So, just in case you just joined us, because I saw a couple hundred people come in, the DoD basically moved a huge amount of their address space online to a random building above a bank, like, something you would see an apartment above a teriyaki shop on some little corner. And they put it in there, and nobody knows why. That's freaking creepy. I'm telling you, is obviously something going on, and people can't see it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't profess to know what they're actually doing, but I can tell you everybody's got 1,000 ideas on this one. It's kind of crazy.
I'm not even going to speculate. You guys, give me your ideas. I would love to hear what everybody thinks, because some of you may be much more qualified than myself to answer this question. Rhonda McKay, thank you, and I think I missed you early. It says, "I really appreciate your news updates and all your research behind it. Thank you for all you do." John J, again, thank you. Leslie A, thank you again. Rosalie Laurie, thank you again. But I missed the Flying Turtle Japan from, of course, Japan. Thank you for the happy birthday. Everybody's saying happy birthday. Maybe Miss Marf was the little birdie who told everybody. But technically, it's a couple days. But I am basically 35. Rosie Lowry, thank you, says, happy birthday, Adam. Hope you have a great one. Christian Moore, Marf, can we do a survey for something for the fam to wear so we can see each other? Would be awesome. Love to all, blessings. Well, we have Marfoogle News like merch and stuff. We don't ever push our merch. Again, people talk crap, but we don't push the merch. We don't push stuff like that. But we do have it. If it's there, people who want it can find it. But some people have been talking about if everything was to hit the fan, and this is like a real serious thing because we used to have our Discord groups and groups that met in every state. If you're new here, you don't know about the Discord we had. It had over 15,000 members, and in every single state, we had 50 states. So when you joined it, you would say, oh, I'm going to join Washington. That's where I live. Then in Washington, it was broken into 6 zones. So depending on where you lived, you live in Seattle or, Seattle or Bellevue, you would join Zone 1, and then you would meet up in person, and people were meeting and talking prep. That's what gave us, again, a lot of these really hardcore people, because in real life, they were doing something about it. And I really hate that that's not there anymore. But so that's why we have so many military. We had over 500 military in our military-only group, and we set that up for veterans and things to talk to each other and current and active military so they could, shoot the crap. And honestly, that's why we have so many military here, and that's why we've been on top of stuff, because we do feel like we're telling you, right at the edge stuff. They as far as a lot of the stuff, the U.S. deployments of National Guard, we were ahead of. So thank everybody here. This show is based on you. You guys always spend your time thanking us. We are nothing without everybody's support and without everybody's information. You guys are much smarter than me. I'm just here to bring people together. So thank you. I really do appreciate all of you. Christian Moore. Susan Donahue says, happy birthday, Adam. # Team Humanity. Thank you, Susan, and thank you. I know that even when you don't comment, you're here, or you watch the replay. Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate you, and thank you for sticking with us for so long. Teresa Horton says, Marf, it's crazy in Jeff City. There are no available places to rent in 3 counties. It's the craziest I've never seen that ever happen. That is pretty insane. It's going to get harder and harder, I think. Free Life Task, again, thank you for your comment. And then Cheyenne 6 Killer Lester says, please, everyone check out Silent Weapons for Quiet Conflicts. And go to the comment to see that. It is a leaked CIA training manual and super scary stuff. Love y'all. I will check it out. Cheyenne, thank you so much for the comment. North Shore Preparedness says, Adam, for the Diaper Fund, show love to the channel by hitting the like button, folks. Well, thank you, North Shore, because I never actually say that, but thank you. And those likes actually do help in the current algorithm, so if you can, either like or dislike it. Even dislikes help engagement. They actually help just as much. There's no difference how YouTube likes it. Which, again, we have 100 people, or 50 people and 2 accounts each, or 25 people that are just psycho. And they always dislike every video. You'll notice within, half an hour, there's always 100 basically haters or whatever accounts. And I think every time I'm like, thank you. Like, you watch every episode and you help engagement. If you don't like a channel, you actually should not do anything. Comments help, and so do dislikes. Dislikes, YouTube came out publicly and said that there's no difference. It helps engagement. It doesn't help your reputation, of course, like that's why they're with the whole JB thing, 25,000 dislikes to 2 likes. It's like, well, he's most ever in history prez. So, but again, that's why they don't like that, but it helps. And Daniel Fajan, glad to get back at your feed after all this time. That's awesome. Gone Girl PRS, Gone Girl is here as well. Thank you, and I hope you're doing really good. Much love, Adam, Dex, Mods, Foogle fam. Love to all from the woods. Out in the woods. I don't blame you, especially right now. Gone Girl, thank you. And I tried calling you, actually. There's a few people that I really do I want to thank, and I will take all of the time in the world to thank all of the people that, help us. CENTCOM Commander, drones dropping explosives probably concerns me the most. Now, this is Central Command Commander, basically talking about what we've been talking about a while. Dax, we've talked about this, and watch, nobody has seen here in the U.S., we have not seen a major event happen because of drones, because we haven't been attacked. That would be an act of conflict. What do you think about drones, basically attached to boom booms?
We were talking about this. We talked about this when it first happened as an experiment in with the Mexican cartel, right? And then just 6 days ago, they came out and they said they actually used it on an attack against police down there with the Mexican cartel, right? Now, I know that's not what this commander is talking about, but, well, it is what he's talking about, but it's not the location that he's talking about, right? He's talking about the whole generality of using these drones and how anybody can pick these up. Anybody can make something and turn it into, a device that can, wreak some sort of havoc and be relatively undetected, right?
Now, Dex, we've saw the attempted assassination of what was it? Duterte? Was it Duterte?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was Venezuela.
Venezuela's president was sitting there with 40 other people. They're doing a photo op. They're sitting there smiling. And this drone comes in. In fact, might as well show you since we covered this a while back. Let's see here. Venezuela president attempted assassination with drone. So check this out. Yeah. So, no, it's not Duterte, and I'm glad we were able to correct that. It was Venezuela's President Maduro, and this was the actual event that happened here. And the crazy thing is, it was super covered. This was the photo op, and you can see everybody looking up, and it's nuts to think about. Like, there's 70 people, 70 uniformed officers. They're all sitting there, and then all of a sudden they're looking up, and the video is more telling. You see everybody, and then everybody's like this, and then all of a sudden they grab the president and they throw him down. What it was basically an IED or whatever strapped to this thing, and boom. I think someone did perish, but it wasn't the president. Obviously, he was safe, but he did have minor kind of like, I think, blast effects and couldn't hear, is what I heard. But so this is something that is relatively new, but now it's becoming to where it is going to be, I think, one of the next big events where thousands of these. And I want to bring you back. And if you think this is something that no country would do because it's too inhumane, first off, that's I heard that comment. I'm like, of course they would. I want to show you something that we developed, the U.S. government developed in WW2 era, and you are going to be like just blown away by this. It's called a bat boom, and of course, trying to keep the filtered percentage here low. So I'm going to show you a picture of something. This was called a bat boom boom. It was an experimental WW2 weapon developed by the United States. The actual weapon there consisted of a shaped casing over 1,000 compartments, each containing a hibernating Mexican free-tailed bat. Now, these bats were this big, tiny, right? And they put an incendiary explosive on these actual bats. And what would happen is they would, at dawn, drop this on Japan, and at a certain height, it would open up, let 1,000 bats, all with individual incendiary, fire-causing little explosives, and guess where these bats would go? These bats are disoriented. It's sunrise, right at dawn, and they would look for the little crevices, cracks, roofs, attics, and they would go fly immediately, try to find somewhere to hide. And they would go in a 20 to 50 mile radius and go into every crack and crevice of every wood building, preferably. They liked hiding in wood spaces, so they would find themselves a good attic to hide in. And then after they found a little spot, after an amount of time, these timed incendiary devices would go off and then start fires all over the city. Now, we never used this. This was something that was experimental, and they did test it I believe they tested in Nevada, but they never used it on people. So we have done some really wild stuff, and I'm telling you, wild stuff. This one, I was like, wow. I don't even know how I found out about this. It was like going down a rabbit hole on YouTube of mini, tiny, quarter-size bang bangs. And then I found this, and I was like, wow. But this is proof that there are plans in place right now that you would think are absolutely horrid. But that's what they do. There's whole departments dedicated to death, I guess you could say. Crazy, crazy stuff. Dex, I bet you didn't know about the bat boom.
Had no clue. I'm learning right now. That's incredible.
Isn't that just absolutely fascinating? It's just crazy.
Well, now I want to go look up other crazy, similar type things that we've done in the past.
Oh no, it's pretty weird. All right, and then on April 14th, a drone carried TNT near U.S. forces stationed at Ebrel International Airport in the Kurdistan region of Iraq the balls on a pool table. According to the Kurdish Interior Ministry, the drone dropped the explosives, but no one was injured in the blast. The first known attack of its kind on U.S. forces in the area. It says a UAS threat, the small drone threat, the quadcopter less than an arm length of a human being, is what really probably concerns me the most in the theater. Of course, the theater of conflict, right? And this was an attack of that nature, Mackenzie said. We are still trying to determine the attribution of that attack. We've recovered part of it. We got good people looking at it, and we'll eventually know where it came from. Those things concern me greatly because our air defense system and our Patriots and our other radars, they're very good at seeing the larger objects, be it ballistic missiles or larger land attack cruise missiles and larger drones, he added. The smaller drone is a problem, and smaller drones is the future of warfare. And we need to get ahead of this right now. It says, Mackenzie said there's still a great work to be done battling IS on the ground in He said the continued presence in is to complete the destruction of ISIS. How do you defeat an ideology, though? I've never understood this. How do you think you're going to just take everybody out that believes in that? Dex, do you think we'll ever end the conflict on a specific ideology? Like that's like the war on drugs.
I don't see how that'll happen. I mean, there's always going to be something.
Sounds like a waste of money.
Yeah, but it also sounds like we have a serious vulnerability, and we've announced that vulnerability now to the world. And it's a relatively inexpensive type of device that anyone can pretty much create with a 3D printer or, buy at their local, Best Buy.
They said that with a 3D printer, and this is what they actually are doing, they're looking at how China is manufacturing these. They can even send out a 3D printer, which is it costs nothing to an entire government. They can send it to a location, then within a couple days, 3D print 10,000 drones for about $1,000. 10,000 drones. Wait a second. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to screw up on this. It's $10 per drone. How many would 1,000 be? 1,000 times 10 would be 10,000. So about 1,000 drones for $10,000. About 10,000 drones for $10,000, and they could do it with a single printer in a matter of days. Maybe longer. I'm sure I'm going to get the 3D printer crew in here going, no, that's not possible. It would be 4.8 days. Because I've done it for China. But you get my point. So we obviously have something that is a new issue. Think about this. If they got a sleeper in with the 3D printer, they could actually make household stuff turn into this, then use the AI software provided by government in question, which they don't have to have DJI put out an update. They would actually create this from scratch. They could send it off from some location that they own, say in Canada, without even letting them know because Canada has a treaty with them, and they would go off in every direction, just like the bats. and find themselves a good target. Especially with their, they're going to be able to do this for less than $10. That's insanity to me. Barefoot Lass is in the house. I see a lot of really cool, awesome people here. Barefoot Lass, thank you for being here. All right, and then today's show, of course, as you know, was brought to you by NordVPN. If you have not looked into a virtual private network, you can actually protect yourself against cyber threats by hiding your IP address. This isn't just something for your computer, though. NordVPN is not only one of the easiest, just flip like a light switch on and off, but it is also one of the most versatile. You can use this on your phone or your tablet or your kid's phone, your kid's tablet. You can use it up to 6 devices for one plan. This plan is not only discounted to you, a huge savings, somewhere up to 70% on 3 years, but it also helps our channel. They give us a small commission of your sale, and then we can expand. So thank you. Remember, again, this hides your IP address, and you can put yourself somewhere else in the world. So if you want to see blocked websites that are blocked here or blocked there, or if you just want different content on Netflix, you can actually put your IP address in a different country, and you'll get a whole new variant of Netflix or whatever system, Hulu, that isn't available where you live. That's, again, marfooglenews.com/VPN. And then we have Putin confirms successful test of a mystery new missile designed to blast U.S. space weapons to bits. Dex, what do you think about this? This is, of course, yet another test. This is like 7 tests in the last 2 months.
Yeah, he's on fire. I think maybe he could turn this around and maybe clean up all the space junk up there instead of creating conflict.
Well, maybe. And by the way, we've covered that Russia is creating a laser to hit space junk, a laser for the moon. China is creating false moons and false suns, and then they are also talking about a laser to take out space junk. It just it makes you wonder, like, all of the negative uses for some of this stuff. It's like it could be used for positive. Makes you think. It says Vladimir has staged a, quote, successful test of a mystery new anti-ballistic missile that could blast U.S. space weapons to smithereens. It comes as the Russian president aims to use his firepower to restore the country's Tsarist empire, and the Polish defense minister Maros Balasek has claimed. It says Moscow confirmed the successful missile check as it continues to its military's prowess, despite announcing a partial troop pullback from areas bordering Ukraine. Remember, they said partial. We still do not have the ability. Some of the sites that do the satellite stuff, some say that they are like region locked, like some parts of it are actually not visible, like you're getting these weird delays on certain parts of it. One of my good friends said, that their opinion, I should almost read his text. He was in the South African military. He basically said that it looked like storage. So his opinion was that this was storage and didn't look so much like it was combative. And the one thing I would say is that's what you are able to see. That's what you're able to see on that. The one thing I'm wondering about is how good are the satellite images? Do you know, Dex? Like, is there a way to confirm satellite images?
Oh, well, I think we're only going to see the ones that are made commercially and made available to the public, or something that's non-commercial would only be done if it was released as part of Intel or Ganda from some country that owns that satellite.
Well,
right?
And let me ask you this: if we have satellites, spinning around the Earth at all times, why is it not instant that we can find these things? Of course, we believe, and even in movies 20 years old, the U.S. is able to take a picture of something instantly. Why? Obviously, it's probably pretty obvious why the public can't access satellite images that instantly, right? What if you could go to Google Earth like it is, but it would be real time and it would be the real image? Well, it's not.
We did cover that commercial company, though, that had launched a certain number of satellites, and they were selling a product that could map. Basically, they used America as an example, but they were positioning them all around the globe. But they could map the changes on a daily basis, if not hourly basis.
Oh, and then that's, in fact, that show, I remember this is like over a year ago now, is why we told you that you won't be able to hide. Even if you're in the bushes, it automatically updates. So it will basically make an event. If a branch falls off a tree off in the jungle, or a tree falls down, it automatically updates their system and says, hey, something changed here. So if you chop down a tree for firewood, it would automatically go, oh, here's something different. And say if SHTF happened and you were hiding out the woods, the adversary is, in all the cities, they've already invaded, they're, have got everything taken out, and you're in a safe wooded area, and you're completely hidden by the trees, everything else. Those satellites would be able to detect a leaf falling off a tree. They could set the parameters at least. They basically said that the parameters could be set so small that if a rat moves on the ground in the jungle in a certain area, that it would automatically check it and check it and check it and go, here's a human being. That is why a lot of preppers and people that believe they're going to bug out are saying there is no hiding from some of the new technology. And they used to look at bigger blocks. Now they can see down to like 12 inches. They can get in there. They used to measure it by how much they could look at a time or something like that. Marianne Crawl, thank you so much for your support. James Fox, again, thank you. And then Gone Girl, again, thank you, and thank you. Over on DLive, Susie P says, need more friends for my arc. I hope you're not making it already. I think we've got a couple more years for the flood. Texas Rob 49, Marf Dex, and mods are the bee's knees. Only you, Texas Rob. Thank you, awesome. Dwatts, and we've got one Brad A. says, happy birthday, Adam. Well, thank you. Happy birthday, says Defrustrated. I love beagles. Thank you for all the birthday wishers. Happy birthday, Jammer 1. Let's see here. Sylvia Mendoza, 1212. Blessed are the people that know the joyful sound, for they shall walk in the light of his Kantanak. I think that was a typo. Red Storm, you are the best on the net. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And then Bratty 1, thank you for following. It's always nice to have a new face. And then Sauce Pants. I think that's how you say it. Thank you for being here. China shows off new warship, nuclear sub, and guided missile cruiser in a show of strength and amid Taiwan tensions. China has unveiled 3 new conflict ships as tensions rise with Taiwan and they reach a boiling point. President Xi showed off the country's newest assets, an amphibious helicopter carrier, a nuclear sub, and a guided missile cruiser in a public display of strength as a warning to Taipei. The ceremony took place in a military port in the southern city of Sanya on Friday as fears grow that China is building a force capable of retaking Taiwan. President Xi watched over the display, reports the Times, Global Times, I believe, and the helicopter carrier named Hanan, which can transport up to 1,200 troops, as well as dozens of jets, was unveiled. So it says a new guided missile cruiser was also shown off, featuring the stealth technology as well as the upgraded Type 094A, which we've shown you, this crazy nuclear-powered submarine thought to be able to carry ballistic missiles. They don't know, though. According to the state media, it shows a, quote, fundamental change in China's defense technology, adding that no other country had simultaneously commissioned 3 types of warships. This is exactly what I've been saying for 3 years. They are mass producing. Dex, did I not? We were able to call this with the help of the Fugel fam military. They are mass producing ships. They, in 1 year, went from 30 or 40 ships smaller than our military or our Navy to 70 ships larger than our. They have the largest navy in the world. And now it looks like we are over 150 ships larger than the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, we've been talking about this. It's obvious, their ability to manufacture, their ability to crank out, their ability to replicate, and or maybe just use the blueprints that have been given to them from different acts that have happened over here, whether it was handed to them or it was stolen. But yeah, they're able to produce this stuff and produce it very quickly. And, you know, so I know a lot of people go, oh, I don't, you know, they're not as good as our ships. Well, that's fine. You can say that, but you know, you can have one really good ship, but when you have 100 additional ships coming after it, that's a lot to deal with. So masses can make a big difference here. Swarms can make a difference.
Very disappointed in the people that keep saying, you know, oh, well, they're nothing compared to ours. When you have 20 of their ships versus one of our ships, no matter how good that one ship is, unless it's like Iron Man and it's just able to shoot, you know, missiles that go off and take out all 20 of them at the same time, that one ship might take out 3 or 4. It's like the UFC fighter in a random bar brawl. Nobody knows the guy has so much power, but man, he knocks 5 or 6 guys out. But there's 10 of them. Do you think the UFC fighter is going to take 10 guys? The odds are somebody's going to hit him in the back of the head. Somebody's going to get him in a vulnerable spot. It might take 10 guys to take the guy down, but they'll take him down. It's all about numbers, and I think that they know that in the waters, unless you're using nukes, and if you are doing a conventional battle, if you have sheer numbers, then you're going to win. And that, I believe, is their new strategy. And yes, it might be lower this or that, but don't think about the Chinese Navy as some sort of knockoff product from China that has, like, you know, super fun time, action figure, fun time, action play, place, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that. They're using our blueprints and then tweaking them, and they're changing them and making their own technology. They're using the same exact material. It's not like they're using plastic instead of metal. And they actually support us with a lot of this stuff. So it's just this old thing that people are like, oh, if it's made in China, it's not going to last long, or this or that. Yeah, because they also have a reputation for that, for like their, you know, plastic products and the things that they knock off, because there's no laws. They can knock off anything and you can buy it from China, right? But that's different. Their military, they put all their money into it.
Absolutely. So these are not stupid people. Products are the mass-produced things. I promise you, when they're building this, they're not using the poor quality. They're putting their best foot forward because it's the military, right?
Because they want to take the entire planet. I see it all over the place. It's this American thing to be like, we're the best. You know, I'll let the military handle it. They're the best military in the world. I agree with that. But I also know that they know that too. And they're going to have experts, and who knows, even experts that they probably stole from the U.S. Who knows? They might have paid somebody to convert to tell them all of our information. There's spies, there's information, and there's monitoring going on everywhere. And we were dumb enough to use almost all of their surveillance cameras. There's a backdoor in possibly, millions of cameras, audio and video surveillance cameras that all came manufactured in China with proprietary software that came from a Chinese company that's tied into a Chinese government. So tell me that they haven't overheard some sort of secret formula by now. Air Force Base deploys pack of robot dogs to enhance security. This is exactly what we're talking about. Drones. ET drone home. This is just like ours. I wonder where they got the design for that. Dex, does that look familiar?
Oh yeah, it's what is it? Dynamics.
Boston Dynamics.
Boston Dynamics. It's the one everybody's using. They've started mass producing them.
And they have fleets of them. Says Sonny, a military working dog with the 325th Security Forces Squadron, sits next to a quad-legged, unmanned ground vehicle at Tyndall Air Force Base. It says Bay County, Florida, the U.S. Air Force has been flying a fleet of drones for many years, and now a base in Florida is testing a new kind of drone. But this one has 4 legs. Instead of wings and stays on the ground, it kind of looks like a dog. Last month, Tyndall Air Force Base received a shipment of the Robo Dogs, which are officially known by the typical military mouthful term quad-legged unmanned ground vehicles, or QUGVs. Do they have to do an abbreviation for everything? Is that really... The 325th Security Forces Squadron is using a semi-autonomous machines as an added layer of protection on the base, according to the Air Force. The military's message to its working flesh and blood dogs: those metallic machines won't replace you. Security Forces Program Manager Mark Shackley said that the dogs are mobile sensor platforms that can significantly increase situational awareness for the human security staff that operates them. They patrol the remote areas of the base while defenders can continue patrol and monitor other critical areas of an installation. So, by the way, these can detect human beings. They can detect stuff in the dark. They can see an intruder climbing over a fence, immediately say that this is a threat. Their AI is now so good that this dog will be able to actually run itself for multiple days. As far as the Boston Dynamics and some of this new technology, they are able to open doors, close doors, watch. They have heat sensors. They now have touch sensitive sensors. So if they're hit, they respond differently. And now they are giving them actual aggressive fighting stances. So imagine this dog being able to look at a target and then charge it and actually launch its body of steel into a human being so hard that it knocks it down or knocks it just totally incapacitated. That's nuts. These things will be a walking Robo Dog. I mean, this is RoboCop, right? And this is real. Let me show you.
Hey, look, it's always been hard to make things small. It's always easier to make them big, right?
Yep.
So just imagine when these things they turn into 10x the size, and maybe they have a crew on board.
Hence, this thumbnail is the future, in my opinion. Let me see here. Let me show you. Trying to find a very specific. The picture leaked. They are making thousands of carbon copies of our dogs in China, and they are training them to basically go in numbers and physically attack. And they are actually adding features that we didn't add to ours. I think that we are going to see a whole lot more of craziness here. I was trying to show you. There was an image. This is the Boston Dynamics version, right? This is actually very specifically their version with the handles. This thing has a hand and can grab, and this has sensors all around. The military versions are bigger, beefier, and bulletproof. But these things are just absolutely insane, and they are smart. They have technology we can't even think of yet. Again, sensors. Now they're talking about doing them underwater. Some cool parts about it is they're going to be able to retrieve stuff at the bottom of the ocean and then walk right out of it, straight out of a movie. Miss Jammer, happy birthday to the love of my life, Jammer1. Jammer, happy birthday. Again, I won't be rude and ask your age, but you don't look a day over something. And then, of course, thank you, Bear Claws as well. Miss Me V2, thank you guys for supporting over there with lemons. U.S. population over last decade grew the slowest rate since 1930s. With immigration leveling off and a declining birth rate, the United States may be entering an era of substantially lower population growth, demographers said. It says that over the past decade, the U.S. population grew the second slowest rate since the government started counting in 1790. The Census Bureau reported on Monday a remarkable slackening that was driven by a slowdown in immigration and a declining birth rate. The Bureau also reported changes to the nation's political map. The long-running trend of the South and the West gaining population and the congressional representation that comes with it at the expense of the Northeast and the Midwest continued, with Texas gaining 2 seats and Florida 1, and New York and Ohio losing 1. California, long leader in population growth, lost a seat for the first time in history.
Yeah, we've been talking about this mass migration. So there's two major things that came out today. So a lot of people are talking about the political angle here. But the other thing we've got to take in consideration is this slowing of our birth rate. And what does it mean to, I guess the grand plan, if you want to call it that, the people that talk about how do we manage, the population on Earth. And, some people have this ideal that it should be a lot less and et cetera. So this is the effect, or this is what's currently happening. These are the actual numbers. They're down, or they've been down. We've watched them slowly going down, but now they're down more than they've ever been since the 30s, right? So that's a big deal. And then the other thing we've been talking about is this mass migration. We've been talking about people leaving California for Texas, leaving, New York for Florida. And that's why you're seeing those states lose representation. So they're going to lose positions in the House, and you'll see these other states gaining positions.
Sorry, I was typing a message here. I'm, just make sure. I was trying to search something very specific. It's a message that everybody should figure out at some point. Did I spell that right? I don't know. Did I? I think. I'll just let that soak in. Too long? Probably too long. So yeah, that's happening. What do you think? Do you think that that it is slowing down just because everybody's not stuck in their house, and usually that means a baby boom? So yeah, that's kind of weird. We actually had a baby bust instead of a baby boom when everybody was locked in. See, after WW2 and everybody got home from the conflict, and everybody was like, dinga dinga.
It's because everybody missed everybody, right? Now you're stuck at home with the spouses. And
now
the
you want to
rate's
get out.
Gone through the roof. Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm going to Target. Why? Because it's Target. They have a sale on something. No, me and my wife, we spend all the time together, and we don't have any problems. We're lucky.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, right. I mean, we have, but honestly, we were like that before lockdown. We actually, we like being in the house together, but it is more like our fight with staying home all the time. We like to go out. And that was not fun. So, I don't know. Something's up here.
But there was a stat, though, that did say the divorce rate had gone up. I remember hearing that. I haven't researched it. But yeah,
because of the lockdown?
Yeah, because everybody's
before?
staying home. Yeah, a lot of spouses that used to travel and, were always on the road, and they, were together on weekends. All of a sudden, they're spending, every day together, and it's like, no, this ain't working.
You probably find out a lot more about your significant other if you're just sitting at home and you're like, or things annoy you.
Right.
You know, or if they are both working from home, I could see how that could cause problems. Whereas somebody used to go, you know, to work for a 9 to 5, you get that space. One thing I suggest that everybody try to give themselves is space with their significant others. Don't always be together. It can grow resentments. All right. Well,
and before I forget, catch up on the PayPal and.
Thank you. So, gotta catch them all. You guys are great. Still my favorite show. Thank you so much for your support of the show. Thank you. Alan Y. Thanks, Adam Dex. Much love. Robin S. Hey there, Marv. I go by something else on YouTube, but have wanted to send a gift to you and yours ever since you were pregnant with your baby girl. Thank you for choosing life. May God bless you. Robin S., I don't think there was any other option for us. Kara Fuse, thank you, says, this is for a night out with the kids. May have to do a pizza. That's all right. Thanks for the news and for giving me something to look for each day. Show me, make me feel part of something and informed BF, my best friend, my coworkers. So thank you. Please pray for my family. We are in the first year without my pop, and we're trying to keep his floor store going. Kara Fuse, if your dad has a floor store, I would highly recommend, we got to get this going. People need to support Foogle Fam businesses. That's how we had it set up with the Discord. So if there's John with a tire shop in the Foogle Fam, before you go supporting some big conglomerate, try to support a Foogle Fam. Even in the chat, if you own a business, I don't want people spamming like, hey, go check this out, go check this out. But if you need something, I would say go, hey, I need a new pair of tires. Anybody know of a business in this? And then if you own a business, feel free to go, hey, I own a tire shop, or I own a floor store. We can deliver. And I would say spend a little extra to go with a mom and pop shop right now. That's what we have to do. You have to sacrifice a little bit extra to go through a mom and pop. Because guess what? You might save money right now, but you are going to end up really regretting it later. It's going to completely shut us down if we do not go with these ma and pa's. All the ma and pa's near you are most likely shutting down. Why? One is because of this event and this lockdown stuff, but two is because people are going for these big conglomerates. Please go support your ma and pa's. Thomas T, thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. Much love from Marf Dex. And Gone Girl, thank you for supporting over there as well. It says, hi, Adam Dex, Mods, and Foogle Fam. Much love to you all. It says, I can't buy lemons over on DLive. It's been that way for a while. That it said, never had trouble before. You know, I've heard that before by other people, Gone Girl, and I don't know what, they're probably just doing some sort of update. Sherry, allow the magic. Thank you for everything you do and Dex do. Appreciate you both dearly. Trying to call in with trigger point info for the fam with love and gratitude. And then Deborah H, thank you for your support as well. Thank you guys for helping support us over there as well. It takes less of a percentage, which is obviously, pretty obvious. Thank you so much. Again, it is never required to do that. Somebody was telling me about this information about, it was what do you call it? It was a specific date that something was going to go down, and I tried to go, hey, I want to verify that information. It's somebody that's big, but it turns out they put that information behind a paywall. So the point is, like, if it's real serious information, why would you put it behind a paywall and not let anybody know about it? I didn't realize I had to pay $8 a month or whatever it was to find out there's an imminent event about to happen that would affect all of us. We've never believed in that. And that's why all of our alerts and everything else are free. So we thank you, everybody that does support. You know you don't have to. Some of you have to sit through us thanking other people, but that's part of it. We are independent. We don't have... and if we weren't, we would be what? CNN, MSNBC, all them. They get paid by their sponsors, and you have to watch commercials. So either way, I wish there was a way without commercials or without ads, but unfortunately, we have families too. We have to pay the bills. This is our work, and we do put in actual man hours of work. So that's how we paid. When I was a one-man thing, I went so long and was almost getting evicted when I started this. I didn't ask for anything for the first year. And it was very painful. And I worked 12 hours a day. But now we have a lot of people depending on this, and they really do thank us for it. So for those people, thank you. For everybody else that doesn't like it, I do apologize. But unfortunately, that's how it has to work. And I guess it's almost like, it's voluntary to watch. And I know you say, I love it, but there's so much shout outs and all this. I am sorry. But I would say if you watch the replay, you can fast forward through all of it. You can double tap and just go right through it. Or you could understand that it's part of the way that things work now. So thank you. We genuinely, we don't love, making people unhappy. But I do think that the products and everything that we do, affiliate with are things that are either going to save your life or make your life better. So thank you, everybody that has stuck with us this long, and thank you for everybody that's been with us since the beginning. Most of my mods have been with me for 3 years. So thank you, guys. Sparky Runs. Hey, Foogles, that big fat old moon out there is shining as bright as day. And then Daniel Alahim, forgive others, for we are forgiven in like manner by our Heavenly Father. I love that. Thank you. And then the real Ostua, Flyboy 1960, a steak fray bentos. Brown Pup Perp, Stuart L. Lisa, and then Old Rider, another old school Foogle fam. Lots of old school Foogle fam here. We got the Marfia in the house. Thank you guys for sticking up for each other. If you see anybody picking on other Foogle fam, make sure to stick up for them. And defend it like it's yours, because it is. Brendan Henschel, thanks for being independent. Thank you. Again, we try to support as many creators as we can. Brendan Henschel is another great creator. His wife is a very good creator. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for seriously actually popping in and supporting. I really do appreciate that. And we will, of course, support back when we see you. We got to host you one of these days. All right. And then thank you. And thank you, Dex. Thank you for being my hostess with the mostest.
Much love, brother. Great show.
Appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, everybody that has supported tonight. Thank you for everybody that has sat through it. And thank you for everybody on that Hall of Fame list. Lisa K, N95 Hero, Jimmy Shively. The Truth is Out There, Stormy Weather. All you guys are amazing. Now it is officially time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Shout-out. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most on top of silly beats that I make in a matter of minutes. They're absolutely horrible. Thank you. Have a good night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Everybody knows that we have found MarfoogleNews.com that Michael Purvis, Tiffany Hartman, hey, and Ben Dennis. Bring back down and walk that dog and bring it back down and everybody knows it. Lick on that, knows he on his igloo. Gonna bring it down, Brownberry Perp now. Bring it down now, North G back now. Hey, I know.
get you. I was walking on the streets I knew when I saw that wave of blue. Tsunami big enough to get me, and it sure as hell gonna get you. I was walking on the street with the Hydra GT, and everybody see a burning Henshaw and his men, they were following me. I've got the Sam Quiggs and the Keisha Ra, nobody's gonna go farther. They're my friends and they gonna see, they're gonna be the Jacqueline. I'm gonna see the Marley Tweets and the Marley Travers with the Joe Adams. They see with the Nature's Bounty Homestead. Nobody's gonna beat them down. With the Diana go sit down, gonna bring them round in returns. I'm gonna go see them ring, and they're gonna go back with Angel West. I was walking on the streets I knew when I saw that wave of blue. Tsunami big enough to get me, and it sure as hell gonna get you. Ha, 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 ha. I got carried from Columbus and the Jonesy 707. Got a monk for 20 times 2, and they gonna go to heaven. Tsunami big enough to get me, and it sure as hell gonna get you. I was walking on the streets I knew when I saw that wave of blue. Got the Reaper gonna bring it down, Diana gonna hear that sound. Oh, right, and the watchmen that they know. Got the Elmer Shell, Mike Hitchcock, Nature's Home, but not they've got to be 2. It's gonna be the 11 or that 11:20 or 2. Tsunami big enough to get me, and it sure as hell gonna get you. I was walking down the street when Johnson said hello in Wellington. Had the barrel of her 2,000, 92,000, that is Bear Claws do it. They do it just like a good person does it. Hey, thanks Flying Turtle Japan. Susie P. Johnson on the number 1, got that number 2 now. Johnson, thanks for being number 1 tonight. Johnson, gonna go down the ride. Nobody stops it, not like that. Johnson, I had a good friend named Johnson. They were walking. Johnson walking with everybody down. They got that posse. Oh, got the beat posse. With my best friend, big posse. Oh, got the book, Dr. Johnson. Gonna go out now, they posse. Pausing time with my friend Johnson. Oh, now they pop me. Now we bobbing with our best friend Johnson. Going back around.